Hey, it's Jeremy here with Red Hawk Coaching. Hope you're having a great day. And many of you I've been talking to over the last few weeks about an opportunity with Ojo Labs. And I have today the CEO, Chris Heller, with us to be able to share in more detail what that looks like, what it can provide for you, the opportunities it can create your business in a challenging time. Chris also former CEO of Keller Williams International, and he still runs a mega team out of California that does a ton of business every year. And so we're going to also maybe dive into some questions around, how to go out, and especially in the area of developing listings. And so, Chris, glad to have you today.
Jeremy, thanks to be here. And I'm John Berkowitz is our CEO. I'm the Chief Real Estate Officer. So I don't want him to think that I'm trying to take his job.
Yeah, I want to take that glory. Thank you for that correction. So, Chris, tell me a little bit about your journey, how you got started. I know we started around the same time in 2004 in the real estate industry.
Yeah, I actually joined Keller Williams in 2004. I actually started in 1983. So just a little before that, when I was a sophomore in college, I got my real estate license. Spent 16 years at a national company, which has since been bought by Berkshire Hathaway. It was called Prudential. That was when Prudential had a real estate company. And, that was the first 16 years of my career. Started as an individual agent. As my business grew, the need for help grew. And so a team developed. Back before there really were teams, I remember when I hired my first assistant, everyone looked at me like I was like an alien. And part of the reason was because I was like the youngest person in the office, and no one else had assistants. So, but after 16 years, joined Keller Williams. Prior to joining, I was in the top 10 in the nation for Prudential. During Keller Williams in 2004, launched some franchises, some market centers. 2009 was the #1 KW agent in the world. In 2010, they asked me to join the executive team and became the president of the worldwide division. So I started launching Keller Williams globally and did that for 5 years. And that was a lot of fun, a lot of adventures around the world. And then in 2015, they asked me to become the CEO of the company. And I stayed there to the middle of 2017. Meanwhile, I had met the owners of Ojo and became an early investor. They asked me to become an advisor. Then they asked me to be a board member. And then I joined them full time in the middle of 2019. So that's the 37 or 38 year journey.
Just a short journey, right?
Yeah.
What do you attribute to that success? So you've done many different things, and over that time, what would you say would be maybe the one or two things that you attribute to that success over time?
I think there's a couple things. One is I always believed that the way to get opportunities was to get results. So I've never asked for anything. I never asked for an opportunity. I never asked for a position, a role, or anything else. My mindset was to do so much, so well, that I would be the obvious choice, or that someone would say, hey, would you consider doing this? Or we want you to do that. So I really focused on just getting the results. And I think that caused me not to look for shortcuts, and just know that I had to put in the work, and became very disciplined about that. And that's the second piece of it. It was the discipline. Early on, I trying to discover how I was going to win, knowing that I didn't have the experience, didn't have the personality, didn't have the knowledge, didn't have the intelligence of a lot of people. How was I going to win? And the way I discovered that is the more discipline that I could exercise in my business, the more I could do. So super disciplined about following the schedule, super disciplined about doing the activities I need to do on a daily basis to achieve my daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly goals. And as I built that muscle of discipline, then things started to fall into place at a really fast pace.
Yeah, and you see that a lot in the real estate industry. The 20% do the 80%, and you see a lot of. I think that's one of the biggest challenges when people step into this business is that it's easy, and they don't realize the amount of work that it is to require. And I think it's really important that you point that out. Is like you weren't necessarily going out and seeking these opportunities. You were just focused on the most important thing, which was the results, and the doors began to open for you. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You hit on a key point, and that is, real estate is a really simple business, right? It's not complicated. It's not, it's not, sending a spacecraft to Mars. It's not, building a nuclear reactor, doing brain surgery, but it's not easy. It's a hard business, and there's a lot of moving parts to it, and it is and to be really good, you have to develop your skills at a really high level. There's a there's a the 1.4 million members of NAR, there's a very small piece of that group that achieves at a high level. The vast majority are mediocre at best.
Yeah, and one of the things I always admired about you and studying up on the skills that you were sharing with others, early on in my career was the listing presentation scripts, and it's not going out and practicing on your clients. That's the worst thing you could do. Yet practicing with a script partner and practicing with yourself, getting in front of the mirror, going over and over to where it just became a part of who you were. Wasn't anything.
Yeah, it's probably one of the biggest opportunities for real estate agents that they still, as a whole, refuse to partake in, and that is practicing their scripts and dialogues and presentations every day. I did it every day for 27 years. Like, there was never a day where I didn't role play. And what I did is I just looked at professional athletes, or anyone that was at the top of their game. If you make it to the major leagues in baseball, you don't stop taking batting practice. Right? You don't stop, fielding flies and all the other things, right? So, practicing really separates the great agents from the rest. Now, it is painful to do. I don't know how many. I remember at one point we were moving offices. Maybe it's when I was moving from Prudential to Keller Williams, and I had literally boxes of cassette tapes. Some people don't know what cassette tapes are, but these were tapes of recordings of my prospecting, of my listing presentations, boxes of them, and that we just threw out. I used to go into listing appointments with a little mini tape recorder, and I would sit down on a table and I would say to the seller, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you don't mind, I'm going to record myself. I've hired a coach, and one of my assignments is to record my presentation so that can help me get better. And I'm totally committed to being the best possible agent. Is that okay with you?" And they'd always say, "Oh, yeah, fine." And recording it was one thing. Listening to it was a painful. It's, first of all, just hearing your voice, me hearing my voice. Like, when I get this recording, I'm gonna cringe when I hear this. And so, but then "Oh, why did I say that? Or why didn't I do this? Or why didn't that?" But I'll tell you, there's no better way to get better than to do that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you did really well, in studying your scripts over the years, was asking great questions. And I can imagine you sitting there saying, "Gosh, why didn't I ask that there?"
Yeah. Plenty of those. Why didn't I? Or I wish I would have. Or those. But yeah, I mean, that's the key to a great presentation is asking questions. There's that old adage that selling is not telling, selling is asking questions. So the quality of our questions and the sequence of the questions is what can lead a consumer, from point A to point B, asking the right questions that get them to where you want to go.
And it's also, I think, sometimes asking that right question, yet knowing when to ask that next question. We get that answer and we think we know, or we make the assumption that we know what they want. And then we ask that next question and we really get the right answer.
Yeah, but it becomes easier when you're highly confident. And the best way to get highly confident is to be highly prepared. So the best way to be prepared is to know your scripts inside and out. I was never fearful of any response that a seller in a listing presentation would give me, because no matter what it was, I knew I had 5 to 10 responses to overcome that objection. If it was an objection, sometimes they're just questions. And agents sometimes make the mistake of handling questions and answering objections instead of answering questions and handling objectives. Right. So, but when and those responses are internalized, then you can be you're naturally confident because you're prepared for whatever it is, and you really don't care what the response is or what they say, because it's at that point it just becomes more of a game or a competition to see how effective you're going to be in helping them work through whatever their fear, their concern, their objection is.
Yeah, I always loved the script you had. One of 3 things will happen today. One is you'll choose to hire me. One is you'll choose not to hire me, or I may not choose to work with you. And either one of those are fine. That third one, I was always like, wow, that's really bold, Chris. But then I realized it was like a takeaway for us, right at the beginning.
Well, and it also sets the expectations right at the beginning. So I would always say that at the beginning of the listing presentation. And so I'm letting them know right then and there, one of these 3 things is going to happen today. So setting the expectation that this is one of these 3 outcomes is how we're going to end up.
Yeah. And the embedded commands in there are super powerful.
Yeah.
So before we jump into Ojo, right now it's a crazy market, and it's pretty much crazy everywhere. The biggest challenge is obviously going out and finding listings. A lot of people want to move, a lot of buyers out there. I know in our local market, it's, somebody wants to move locally, but they're getting beat out by California buyers, New York buyers. They're coming in with cash, and it's just a really challenging environment. What are maybe 1 or 2 strategies that you would recommend for somebody that's, they know they've got to go get listings? How do they find them?
Well, so nothing's going to happen magically. You have to be talking to a lot of people to find the people that are thinking about it or have an interest in it. That's step 1. And then step 2 is helping people overcome the concerns or the challenges that they're faced with this market. So the first step is finding people. So that means we have to be talking to a lot of people. And I don't care how we meet them, whether we meet them on social media, online marketing, good old-fashioned door knocking or cold calling, or whatever it is. We have to be doing that at a really high level. And in a market where there's more competition, we have to turn up the frequency and the intensity that we do that with. Now, there are sources that we can target, right? Right now, I would absolutely be targeting old expired listings, anywhere from 1 year to 3 years old. I would be targeting out of area owners. Why on both those groups? Well, on the out of area owners, they have an opportunity to sell their investment property at or near the peak of a market.
Right.
And some of you may not agree with, but we are at or near the peak of a market.
We're close.
Yes, we're as close as anyone will know. And the only time you know is when the market starts going down. Then oh, that was the peak. So it's a great opportunity for people that have been holding on, saying, this is the time to get out, either to cash out or to 1031 and, improve their ROI by getting into a property that makes more sense. Old expireds, because people that had their homes listed 1 year or 2 or 3 ago can sell their homes for significantly more than they could have then without all the hassles that they went through the last time. Last time they had their home on the market, it sat for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. It was painful. It was torturous to keep your house perfect for months and months and not get the result you wanted. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you could sell your home for more money than you ever would have thought you could have, 2 years ago, without having to put it on the market, or without having to stay on the market, would you still be interested in doing what you were trying to do, last year or the year before last year? And there's a lot of people that, faced with that would think about. So that's the first step, finding the people. The second is helping them work through what their considerations or concerns are. A lot of people are concerned that, hey, I know I can sell my house. I know it'll sell quick, but then what? Where am I going to go? Explaining to them and educating them that in this market, there's so much demand that the chance of us finding the buyer that'll give us the time to have the length of escrow we want, or to have the length of rent back we want, are things that we can do. Or helping them figure out how to buy the home they want before they sell their home. My team in San Diego, with certain sellers, we make that offer. We'll buy their home or help them buy their home and then list their home and sell it, so then they can buy it back from us. There's companies that do that. There's companies in Texas, Homeward and Orchard and Ribbon. Yeah, there's the companies that agents can partner with to provide more optionality to people. So as agents, we need to be utilizing all the tools and resources that are that we have access to get these listings.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge, and there are those resources out there, and I'm studying those myself to pass that along to my clients. Yet there's opportunities like that most people are concerned because, well, it's got to be contingent, and a contingent offer, sellers aren't even looking at it. They kind of laugh at it when it comes across the table. Yet there's other ways and means of doing that and being educated. I think that is important in today's
market. Yeah, it's also important for agents to understand, like, this is the market right now, and markets change all the time. So the great agents figure out how to adapt to whatever the market is and how to win in whatever is going on in the market. And that's really important, to be like, okay, with what's going on right now, what do I need to be doing differently? Or what do I need to be doing at a higher level? Because the market's going to change, and then there's going to be other things that you need to be doing differently or at a higher level.
Yeah, never the same, right? I remember, and I know you clearly remember the 08 through 2010, and in some cases a little bit longer in some markets, and you just had to operate differently. And if you did, you survived.
Yeah, or thrived.
Right, absolutely.
I've been through multiple downturns, from 1990 to 97, from 2005 to 2012, and then a bunch of little ones in between. My business never not went up did I say that right? Let me say it the easier way. My business always went up in a down market because it was easier. There was less competition. Most agents were defeated mentally. And so, having a strong mindset and a strong plan, your business should not be impacted by what's going on in the market, unless you're operating like nationally, right? If you're a national, which no agent is, but if you're in a market, I don't care. I'll take San Diego, my market right now. The amount of homes being sold on a monthly basis is like 20% of what it was, several years ago. Like, it's just a small amount of homes being sold, but there's still 1,000 homes a month selling in San Diego. That's more than I could handle. That's more than my team could handle. It's more than we could get our hands on. So there's still enough being sold that our business should not be impacted by what's happening in the market.
And everybody else is getting out, right? So their pool of agents is getting smaller. As the inventory is getting smaller. So definitely opportunities, right?
Yeah.
One last question on real estate, we'll jump to Ojo, is one of the biggest challenges right now that I know my clients are facing is time, managing their schedule, running buyers, around, putting multiple offers in, losing out, there's one person I saw the other day, 48 showings in 48 hours with 17 offers. And they're just kind of burning at the end of both ends of the candle, right?
Yeah.
What are some strategies, or what does the mindset need to be when you're in a market like this that's a little bit more challenging, and knowing that it will change again?
So there's two things. One is just operating in a smart way. Excuse me. So operating smartly, you want to leverage yourself as much as possible. So in a market where you may have to show a lot more properties, why aren't we leveraging showing assistants? Why aren't we taking a new agent who would gladly, for a small percentage of the commission, be the one who's opening the doors and showing the houses? So instead of you spending, 10 hours a day showing houses, have someone doing that. And then you take that time to be lead generating, and we're going after listings and or trying to find a house for that buyer by contacting the sellers who think about selling. I'm sitting here in Whitefish, Montana. Bought a house here last June. It's being renovated. There's construction behind this green screen. About a month ago, I decided I want to buy another home in this area. I got a list of all the homeowners because there's a little association. And I sent out an email to 25 homeowners. 10 or 12 of them responded. 4 of them were thinking about selling. I looked at 3 different homes, got into conversations with 3 different homeowners. None of them turned out to be opportunities that I wanted to pursue. But if I had a buyer for this area as an agent, that's what I would be doing. I'd be going to every homeowner and say, hey, who's been thinking about selling? If I had a buyer, if I was licensed here in Montana and I had a buyer, I could have sold a house by doing that. So if we're spending all our time running around instead of leveraging someone to do that for us, it would give us time to then go find properties to help our clients and either get listings or find the properties that would work for your buyer. That's one. The other is just having the discipline. We talked about discipline a little earlier in the conversation. Here's the funny thing about discipline. Most people view it as a negative. They whether it brings up scar tissue from when they were kids, discipline was a bad thing, right? If you got disciplined, you were being punished or sent to your room or timeout. We didn't have timeout when I was a kid, but different types of ways of dealing with that. Yeah. A lot of threats of military school, but discipline actually gives you more. The more disciplined you are with your money, the more money you have. The more disciplined you are with your time, the more time you have. People would look at me, and I was highly disciplined in following my schedule. But at the end of the day, whatever the end of the day was, 5, 6, 7, whatever I chose the end of the day, I could leave knowing that I accomplished all the things that I should have or wanted to accomplish. And there'd be agents there that'd be staying in the office till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, doing a fraction of the business that I was doing because they weren't following the schedule. They weren't exercising discipline, and everything they needed to do just sort of expanded into whatever time they would allot to get those things done. So in this type of market, we actually have to be more disciplined than we normally would to make sure that we're able to be as efficient and as effective as possible.
Do you think that requires setting expectations with these clients, because they're antsy, they're losing out on homes. They feel like if they don't put in the offer 10 o'clock at night, it's not going to get looked at. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it does, but it has to be done in a way where the client sees the advantage to them. Otherwise, it's going to come across as me or what I'm doing is more important than you. And if that comes across that way, you're going to lose a client. Right. So explain to them how you're going to work together, what you're going to be doing to help them, what are the concerns of the buyers now? I'm going to miss properties. I'm not going to hear about them in time. There's going to be too many offers. There's all these things. So if you tell the buyer, hey, here's our plan for winning. Here's our plan to ensure that you're going to have as good a chance or better than anyone else when it comes to a multiple offer situation. These are the 5 things we're going to do. Or here's what I'm going to do to ensure that you don't miss a property. Now you might miss it because you might not be available to go see it or respond to what I'm going to send you, but I'm going to make sure that you're going to get the information the moment it's available. So setting those expectations and saying, now here's the times that we're going to be able to look at properties. The other times, I'm going to be spending my time trying to find the properties for us to go look at, where most agents are just going to wait for something to come on the market and hope that they get lucky with you. We're not going to depend on luck, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. This is the way we're going to work.
Absolutely. I think that's a great approach. And, for those that are listening to this, I definitely implement that. Because Chris, how many homes have you sold over the years? It's a bunch.
I haven't counted lately. It was, I think it's over 4,000 now. I think, yeah, it's got to be over 4,000. We were like, I think last time we actually counted, we were like 3,800 and change, and that was a few years ago. So it's well over 4,000.
Yeah, and I think what's awesome about hearing that is, for the agent that's only doing 15 or 20 a year, and these are the problems that consistently come up. It's like, we got Chris Heller here that's sold over 4,000 homes, and you're able to manage it through, again, having that discipline, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, from my fourth year on, I sold over 100 homes a year, for like 27 or 28 consecutive years. So it's, there's two ways to sell a lot of homes. Either sell a lot every year or just do it for a long time, like I have.
Yeah, for a real long time in some cases. Yeah. All right. So tell me about Ojo. So we've got, this is going into our closed group, and several have signed up for Ojo. What is Ojo, and how does it work, and what should they be expecting on their end?
Yeah, so we're a Austin, Texas company, still considered probably a startup by most standards. I'll explain what Ojo is as it pertains to this audience, and because we do a lot of different things, but the main thing that we do that's relevant to real estate agents is we have a referral network. And that's a network that agents can apply to, and if they're accepted, the construction starting. If they are accepted, then they are in our referral network. We come in contact with tens of thousands of consumers every month. And actually, this is the sound of progress. The job has been going on since September. The renovation started in September. I told them it has to be done by June. So I'm not going to tell them to stop. So sorry.
We could pass that. Yeah.
So we have this referral network. We come in contact with tens of thousands of consumers. When a consumer wants information on a property and they say, I want to see this home, or I have questions about this, we call them and we find out how we can help them. And we're either going to introduce them to Ojo, the product, which is sort of a nurturing and an artificial intelligent advisor that they can interact with and learn about properties, and Ojo can learn about them and show them properties that are a good fit for their likes. But in many cases, they want to talk to an agent, or after we've nurtured them for a while, they're ready to talk to an agent. So what we do then is we say, sure, are you committed to another agent? Do you plan to do something within the next 3 to 6 months? And if they answer all the questions appropriately, then we'll say, great, we could introduce you to a top agent in our network. Would you like us to do that? While we're on the phone with them, we'll send a text message out to anywhere from 3 to 5 agents. The first agent and the fastest agent to respond wins that introduction. And a minute later, that agent phone rings and we're on the other line and we say, hey, Jeremy, this is Chris at Ojo. I have Susan on the line. Her and her husband are interested in the property in your area. And we told them you were the best agent and most experienced agent to help them in that area, and that being good hands with you. And then we turn them over. You update us every week on what the status is. We evaluate you based on your effectiveness, on your responsiveness, on your customer satisfaction. And the better you do, the more people we introduce to you. There's a 35% referral fee at the closing. There's no cost to join. There's no membership fee. And it's a great way for agents and teams to augment their business with another source of consumers that they're being introduced to. Some of these consumers are what I would call now business. They're in the market ready to do something. Some of them are future business, but all of them are people that you can build a relationship with and have opportunities for future referrals or future business.
Yeah, and I know it works pretty quick. Anna in our group, she's already got one, or maybe even two. One's an option pending, one's pending, and then she had a person looking for a fourplex. And what's interesting about it is that I believe all of these were also out of state buyers. And so, we always look at trying to capture that business that's right here in the area. When a place like Texas, being able to have that opportunity to grab some of that stuff that's coming from out of state and capture it before they even get here, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, Texas is one of 3 states where there's a lot of migration to, or one of the top 3 states where there's a lot of migration to. So the consumers that we come in contact with, some of them are local, some are out of state, but we're doing a lot of them. We made almost 26,000 introductions last month to real estate agents. So we're doing this at a big level all across the country.
And what I like about the product that you'll have, Chris, is like the Zillows and those other programs that are out there. They're just sending a contact they're collecting the contact information. A lot of times the agent will call them like, "How'd you get my information?" Where the lead that's coming through your platform, they're coming through and they're qualified. They're people serious about making a decision, and that's both through, I'm guessing, the interview process that you are going through with them, and the forms they're filling out, and the AI that's working.
Yeah, it's a combination of all those things, and again, not all of them will transact. Just like any consumers we come in contact with agents, but these are better than most because they've raised their hand a couple times. One's filling out a form saying, "I want information." Then when they actually tell us, "Yes, I want to be connected to an agent," those are two pretty good indicators of someone's intent.
If somebody has a question, they're signed up in the program, what's the best way for them to address it with your company or reach out if they have a question about something?
If they're already in the program, then any question or need, you just send to support@ojo.com. If you're not in the program and you're watching this or listening to this, feel free to email me. It's chheller@ojolabs.com, OJOLABS.com. So chheller. And we'd be happy to tell you more about it.
Awesome. Well, Chris, I appreciate you taking the time today. It's an honor. I've studied you over the years, and on the conversations I have, it comes from things that I've learned from you, even from afar. You've been great to my family. I know we traveled out to San Diego one year, and you gave us like recommendations for great places to eat. I'm trying to think of the pizza place you gave us. So you were like, "You have to get the lobster pizza." And
I think I remember that. I think it was the Lucadia Pizzeria.
Yes, that's it.
So
I appreciate that, and appreciate your support and the support of my clients. You mentioned earlier the real estate industry is always changing, and I think Ojo is taking advantage of one of the changes. And I think agents need to be looking at their businesses, looking at the different ways to do business, and Ojo is one of those opportunities to be able to have just another source to help in the business, because more and more people are going online, and we know that, and we've got to find a way to get and capture them there.
Yeah, it is. As agents, we always have to be looking at, we're going to do the things we do every day to build our business, but we have to be looking at other sources. And we have to be looking at things like coaching. And that's what I love what you do, Jeremy. I had a coach my whole career. I still have a coach to this day. And I believe in coaching at the deepest level, especially in changing markets and challenging markets. There's having someone who's by your side to help you accomplish what you accomplish is like having a secret weapon and an unfair advantage over others that don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And same thing here. I've had a coach from the beginning. Some of my coaches, Shannon Steer, my current coach is Chad Himes. And, you think you can do it alone, and then you realize you can't.
You can. It's a lot harder, and it will take longer. Yeah,
it's a lot harder, but I think the coach helps you see in those blind spots. And you were talking earlier about opportunities, and in the turn and in effect the leverage. If you don't leverage out, you're missing opportunities that could be right under your nose. Same thing with coaching is you get into these blind spots, and that coach helps you see it. There might be an opportunity that's just sitting right there that you would have probably missed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do it. It might take you 30 years. Why not try to do it in 5? So,
Okay.
well, Chris, I appreciate you taking that time, and it means a lot. And if y'all have any questions, reach out to Chris. I'm going to drop his information here. I'm going to add him to the group too, so he'll be able to go in and be able to correspond with you if you have any questions there, and take advantage of the opportunity. And I appreciate you making it available for those that are getting into Red Hawk coaching to be vetted for that. So thank you, Chris.
My pleasure. Anytime.